welcome to Kate's Kitchen Party. Today I'm very excited to talk to LJ. Would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
So for those who haven't met me, because many people did in this last year, because I was both your provincial and then federal Liberal candidate in our Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes neighborhood. And so I go by LJ, but my full name is Lorna Jean Edmonds. But I think most people, at the end of the day, you try and say LJ or Lorna Jean all day, you'll want to say LJ as well.
Yeah.
But who am I? I'm like you. I'm a person who gets up in the morning and I care about my community, I care about my children, and I care about my future. And that's what took me to politics, was because with my background, being a grandmother, being a university executive, a person with a background in global health and health administration, and having seen the world, and by seeing the world, I really value Canada and I value our community in ways that I probably wouldn't have appreciated had I not had the life experiences that I've had, including my last journey was as an executive of Ohio University in Global Affairs and International Studies. But I was in the United States. And I was in the United States during the transition between Obama, Trump, and then Biden. And so I have a fairly good insight into what it must be like now, given what it was like in my experience then. And we used to joke, under President Trump at the time, this is difficult now. I wonder what it would be like if he had more power.
Yeah.
Thinking that would never happen. And here we are today as Canadians being part of that story in ways that I don't think we even imagined.
It's kind of it's hard for me to wrap my head around, because I do watch the news cycle. I do watch Canadian news, and I try to stay up to date as much as I can. And I just can't help but think, like, every time I turn it on, and it's so fast. The news cycle is so fast. There's just so much coming at us. And I can't remember who it is I was talking to. We were talking about how it seems like the days are going faster. It feels like time has sped up. And what they said to me was that the reason it feels like time is sped up is because you have so much more information coming at you so quickly. And it's hard for you to kind of like sort through it and parse it all and make sense of it all. And it makes time feel like it's going faster. And it almost makes you kind of like long for the olden days where, you had your 5 o'clock news, you could sit down at the dinner table or, have it run. You got to learn about your local, what's happening in the community, what's happening locally. And now it's just like a constant pummeling. And I can only imagine what it's like when you're like in it. Not sure a life of politics would ever be something that I would want for myself. So, I mean, kudos to you for pursuing that. It's a
bit of a mission. It is a mission, and I think you're right. It's like it's a journey once you enter politics. But as I said, once you become a politician, you're always a politician because you, in a way, you have your hand on the pulse.
Yeah.
And it's a real privilege. But by saying I have the hand on the pulse is. Door knocking is one of the most important ways to find out what's happening in your neighborhood and in your community. And I honestly feel very privileged for the fact that in my role, I am out, and I'm out now door knocking. I am listening to everybody because I'm going to every single door. And it's a real honor when people open up their doors, no matter their political disposition, and they give me a chance to hear what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And then you listen to that, and then you play that into what you're hearing and what you're experiencing both in our community, provincially, and then nationally. And now our sensitivity is not just globally, but it's really very much what's happening to our neighbor and this friendship that we had.
Yeah.
And how quickly that's unraveled in ways that we hadn't imagined. But the counter to it is that, of course, we want to stay friends with the United States, but then you see Canada rising up.
Yeah.
And I want to just mention, I'm wearing a pin. When I said it, it cued me. The pin is from a member of our community named Michelle Smith. Mm-hmm. And she approached me, said, I made a pin for you. And She made it. And it's a transformer. And it's Rising Up Canada Strong was the emblem. And she wanted to give me a pin, and then she wanted me to give the incumbent Prime Minister Carney a pin when I won. So I didn't win last time, but next time, that's my goal.
You're going to wear your pin?
Yeah, well, I haven't been nominated yet, but my goal is that I will be your candidate the next time, and that we will win in this round, because I think Prime Minister Carney is showing us that a steady, strategic, smart approach to dealing with current dynamics, both locally in the United States and around the world, is the only way forward for Canada.
Yeah.
And we see Canadians literally rising up to be Canada strong. So my pin, it meant a lot to me at the time that she gave it to me. And now I wear it all the time as a reminder of our community and our challenge ahead of us. We're transforming.
We are absolutely. There's a lot of transformation happening, just everywhere across the board, and it always kind of. I've heard people say, well, it's not our circus, not our monkey kind of thing, except that it has such an impact. But what's happening on the other side of the world has an impact on us, and vice versa. And vice versa. It all, at the end of the day, we are all very much connected. We are all very much sharing this space, and I think one of the things that kind of bums me out the most when it comes to politics, it doesn't matter, local politics, there's this really intense level of apathy now where people just don't want to engage with it. My grandfather served in World War II. He was in the Navy, and that's why I joined the military, and I served for 7 years. And I think about, what he did when he was young, and I think about my time and the importance of voting and the importance of understanding what you're voting for. Like the idea that somebody can vote and not understand the platform they're voting for, like really understand it. It just doesn't make sense in my head. And I know that that's something that happens a lot. And I feel like that's probably one of our biggest, and we saw it in the States too. Like a lot of people just didn't vote, or they didn't know where to vote.
You don't want to be worrying about your life and your future on a daily basis. I'm like, I've got 10 grandchildren. I've got, still young children, and they're trying to lead their busy lives. They don't want to have this hanging over them, this sort of this difficult sense of uncertainty that they're facing. So I kind of get how people sort of want to tune out. At the same time, though, your choices are impactful.
Yes.
And, the choices you make in an election drives the agenda, in this case, for Canada or for Ontario or for your municipalities. But in my particular situation, it's Canada. And we're in a time where, you have a leader who's having to make some bold, transformative choices on our collective behalf. And you want to be able to believe in that person and believe, because I believe leadership counts.
Yes.
And you've got to have a sense that he has a hand on the pulse. He knows what's going on. And this in the long term will not benefit my age. This is actually about investing in you. It's about investing in our grandchildren. Yeah. But we're going to have to go through this journey together. And so, I want my kids to wake up and be worrying about getting their kids dressed to go to school, knowing that they have leadership in place that is taking care of the bigger picture so that they don't have to worry. But that's what becoming a politician is about, is trying to figure out how do you convey to your community that I care just as much as you do. Yeah. But not only do I care, I have skills. I have experience. I'm from being a mother to somebody who's lived here, lived across Canada, lived in the US, and all places around the world. I think I have, again, something more to offer as a politician. And I think our riding really needs strong leadership at this time, because we're a border. Yeah. We have businesses. We have a generation of people that want to have a future where they feel safe and secure, and where the economy will grow here. And it'll be affordable. I mean, look at what we're living now. Yeah, and that's definitely on a lot of people's minds too, is how hard it is, and it's something that I'm seeing the impact. So, like, I'm in my early 40s. Yeah. A lot of the parents of the kids who I'm friends with, my kids' friends' parents, these families in our community,
and you're just seeing the level of stress that financial situation puts on those families, and what it does to families that would otherwise be solid or okay, right? And it's just hard on a community when you have that kind of like food insecurity and the cost of housing. And all of these things are big problems. And yeah, I agree. We do need really strong leadership. And I think too, there's, politicians have a very uphill battle again, because when you get, some politicians are, might not have the best intentions, or just may be in it for their career or for, whatever. They may not have the same intentions as, say, you have your grandkids, you're thinking about your kids, but you all get painted with the same brush. And so it's easier, I think, for some people to just kind of disconnect from all of that and say, oh, they're all the same, or my vote doesn't matter anyways, and kind of just leave it to everybody else to deal with. But I feel like we're seeing kind of the outcome of that, right? We get to watch what happens when you disconnect from the process and you don't invest in it. Which is why I think it's really cool that you spend so much time door knocking. That's a really valuable...
Yeah, it's a really rewarding experience. It's hard work.
Yeah,
our riding is a big riding, so it's got the urban-rural dynamic. But there's no other way, in my view, because I think if you really care and you really want to listen, that's where you get your insights. Because people speak off the top of their head. They speak naturally. They're on their own property.
Yeah, they're comfortable.
But I do want to mention, like, a really nice feel about our riding right now is, again, I felt so welcomed at the door. And that kind of surprised me a little bit, because this is a very conservative riding. So I did wonder how well I would be received. And I would say, really, it's been a very good experience. And
That's
so
really nice to hear.
I'm pretty jazzed by it.
But I've done door knocking as a real estate agent. It's not always
but it has been really good for me. And so it kind of gets me even more motivated, because I love what I'm doing. And I'm doing it, I believe, for the right reason. It's really about me making my contribution that I can while I can, and hoping that my vision is about how do you and how do my grandkids and grandkids after them, how are they going to live in a world that's safe, secure, and sustainable when there's these competing political dynamics going around the world. And at the end of the day, to me, it's you have to leverage timing, and it's about really strong leadership, people who know how to guide us through these turbulent times in a way that we have confidence that they can do it and that they're listening to us. Yeah. Because you have to be able to pivot as a politician as well. Because things can change on a dime. And they do. But I feel that's the key in a politician, is to be able to know and listen what's happening and enjoy all the conversations that you're privileged to have. And then when you're given the job, you really represent their interests wherever you're able to make a difference. And so it's a real privilege.
Very big job.
Yeah, but if you feel, it's kind of work that we've done before. It's my background. I just want to be able to do it now in a political realm, because this is real policy. This is making...
And it's where you'll actually be able to...
Yeah, and you do get to influence in a major way. Like, I was listening to one of the ministers last weekend, and she was, in her own personal experience, when she became a politician, she said, I really didn't know if I would be able to make a difference. And she was one of the architects of the daycare program.
That's awesome.
And she says, to see that come to fruition after me starting this political process, wondering whether or not I would be able to make a difference. She says, we make a difference. We are impactful because we listened. And look at how many people are benefiting today. It's a lot of money that they're saving.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And those kids are in safe, secure locations as well. This is not just about money. It's about leaving your child with somebody that you trust. Yeah, no, it's an amazing program.
Okay, we're going to keep talking about this after a very short break.
Okay.